All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I'll get started right away. Today we have Laura from Equitable Advisor, and she's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to have her do her introduction first, and then we'll go on to me, and then we'll start the presentation.
Thank you, Lynn. Welcome, everyone. Laura Brown, I'm the operations officer with Equitable Advisors, and I'm helping today, hopefully in some capacity, because I do a lot of hiring for employees, but also assist with our advisors as well. I'm also an alumni from George Mason, a lot longer ago than any of you for sure. But I'm happy to be here today and be a resource for all of you.
Love it. So, Laura, during your time at Mason, what did you study, or were you in the School of Business, or?
Yes, I was in the School of Business, originally with the thought that I was going to go into human resources and fell in love with marketing. And now I'm back into almost a human resource-like role. So I oversee different areas, including marketing and some other areas, but do a lot with human resource too.
Love it. Sounds amazing. All right. Well, everybody, hi. My name is Lynn. I am one of the interns for Career Services. So I just do there's show social media and get your student data and everything. And occasionally I'll do some workshops like today. So as you've all known from Handshake, um, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, awesome. So as you've known from Handshake today is all about resume writing and we'll just get started. So, just a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today is just preparation, what is a resume, how you write it, resume sections. So like education part, experience, we'll get into the nits and grits of that a little bit later. Writing the details, putting it all together, and then using AI. So AI is definitely a big crucial part of what we're talking about today as well, just because I mean, we all use AI, I use AI, everybody uses AI, and it's very important to know how to utilize it in the right way and not just, inputting it and submitting it right away. So, preparation step one. So, knowing what you have to offer. So, this is your education, experience, and skills. We're going to start off with a quick little activity. On the presentation. It says write down 5 to 10 strengths or attributes you possess. So, for example, your leadership, like your communication style, your analytical skills, your computer skills, any strengths that you want to offer on your resume and show when you apply for a position. All right, I'll give you guys just a couple minutes to do this. If you guys don't do this, I won't move on to the next slide. Attention to detail, very nice. Paying attention to detail is definitely something very important when it comes to any job or school. Communication and teamwork, also super crucial. Direct communication, time management, collaboration, these are amazing. Customer service, yes, 100%. Like, you gotta kind of like people, you gotta have a nice communication. You can't just really shut down when if you're doing an internship. Everything is about team. Nobody would hire you if they know that you can't really speak or you can't really collaborate with the team, all that stuff. Good under pressure, yes. Analytical skills, all right. Sounds absolutely amazing. So emphasize your strengths on your resume, in your cover letters, and in your interviews. It may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people simply list everything they've ever done. We'll go into this a little more later when we kind of get into the details about what goes into your experience section. But if you have a lot of experience and you try to add it all into your resume, that's not really relevant to the job at all. It doesn't really set you out to be a good candidate a lot of times, just because I think employers are gonna see that, hey, you read my job description, you looked at the qualifications, so why am I seeing something that doesn't make any sense on your resume and you just submitted it like you're mass applying? Laura, do you see this a lot with applicants just submitting everything they have and it just doesn't correlate to the job description at all?
Yes, I see that often.
Yeah.
So really, I saw in your presentation, just having something that focuses on the job that you're applying for and your skill set that can be applied to that position is super helpful. listing down everything that you've ever done, whether it's part-time jobs, internships, um, where it's not relevant at all. It makes it harder for the employer to sort through.
Exactly. Hey guys, take it from Laura. Like she's definitely seen firsthand of some of this. Yeah, 100%. It's very, very important. For me, I have a huge like draft of all my experiences. And whenever I'm applying to different jobs, I make sure to take the most relevant experiences and put it into a different document and just making sure that I read over, making sure that I have the right keywords before submitting a job. And really, it just shows the recruiter or the employer that you care to take your time and you care to submit to this company. And, they're not going to waste their time reading over everything you've done. They're going to see the relevant ones. All right. All right, so know what the employer wants to see. So me and Laura just mentioned this. Again, always read over the job description. You shouldn't mass apply. I get, hey, I've mass applied before, and it was just a waste of time. When I actually sat down and I looked at it, I read all different the qualifications, the minimum qualifications, everything that says in the job description, and I redid my resume to match keywords in there. Guess who got an interview? Like I'm telling you, I'm not saying this just to like be like, okay, whatever. It's true. I did that. It's very, very important. Preparation step 3. So know the 3 rules of resumes. Every resume has a purpose. I mean, of course, you want the job, you're applying for the job. Everything on your resume must reflect the purpose. Sorry, guys. Order your resume from most relevant to least relevant. Laura, could you please just go over the side and just tell us really what you want to see on the resume first as soon as you open it up? Like, what are you looking for first? Are you looking for the education part, the experience part, or the skills?
So I think it helps to have on your resume, look at the skills, right? I always like those to be up front, even in a bullet point, because if you use it on LinkedIn or you upload it in different search engines, they're going to want that front and center. It helps us as employers to kind of see where your strengths are too. Education, right below that. Some people put it at the very end. I like it at the very beginning because really I want to have somebody that has at a minimum a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree. And then going from there is looking at experience too. So chronological is great for me. Start with your most recent jobs or experiences and then kind of going back from there.
Definitely. What I see most when I'm looking through resumes, also mine too, I'll definitely take your advice on this, is I put my skills at the bottom, which now makes more sense that, experience can be something. I mean, of course, it's very crucial to have good, relevant experiences, but also just the skills is definitely just what makes you a good candidate. And you can apply those skills to your new job, even though sometimes your experiences aren't as, great and grand as another applicant. But the thing is, you have great and better, more skills than them. So, it's very, very good advice. I'm gonna put my skills up front now.
Lynn, let me give you an example of that. So going through college, you work on a lot of projects and then sometimes you go into internships where an internship is very project based. And so one of those skill sets you might want to include like project management or the ability to multitask or something like that that you've really learned from it that you can put up front. And that can be applied to multiple jobs. But the fact that you went and you've done various projects and you've seen them from beginning to end, that's definitely a skill set that you can use. And we want to know that you have it. So that would just be an example.
That sounds very amazing. Yes, I'll definitely take that as well. Because I mean, what I'm doing right now, I mean, the entire part of it is project management, and I've done multiple experiences in project management. So it really just makes sense that I can apply it as a skill. So it's great. Most recruiters spend 7 seconds reviewing a resume, so format is everything. Laura, I'm gonna ask you this if this is a fact.
Oh, it's for sure a fact.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times that I've received resumes that you could tell a graphic person did it. So it's very flowery and but the content of it is very skimpy. It looks great, but
Mm-hmm.
it's skimpy. And then other times you get it where it looks like somebody just put 3 or 4 lines together on a piece of paper and sent it to me. And I'm like, I'm not even going to take the time to look at that. Right. So really formatting it and making sure that you have the essential information is really important.
Yeah, 100%. And especially coming from a human resource manager, you have so many resumes that you have to go through. And why are you spending more than 7 seconds on one that just looks like they didn't even try?
Right.
So again, it's always important about formatting. It's always important about spelling. Oh, talking about spelling, if a resume is like great, like it's like one of the best, but they spelled, first of all, they spelled anything wrong in there, maybe their experiences or whatever that sort. Is that like a discard for you? Do you usually move past that, or what do you think about that situation?
I feel like it's kind of like emails, right? There are times that people are just going at such a fast pace that a typo is no big deal. If it is consistent through the resume, it is a big deal because that means they haven't done a spell check, they haven't taken the time to review it. So, again, one is not going to harm anything, but if somebody hasn't taken the time to review it, that's pretty much a no deal for me.
Exactly. Just if a mistake's become repetitive, why should I hire you, right? So this is a resume format that we have. This is also posted on our Canvas page. So if you guys go onto our website, there should be a link that reaches you straight to our Canvas page, and we have all of these resume formats from all majors that you can check out. If you don't know really where to start, or if you don't have time to come into our office, this is a great resource. So like Laura mentioned earlier, the skills are right up front. Like it's just right there in center with a professional summary. A lot of times I think professional summaries are, you can put it there if you feel like you don't have as much experiences. And it's just a great way to really kind of tell the employer like who you are and all that stuff. Laura, when you see, have you ever seen a professional summary on a resume before? And if you did, would that really help them more, or is it just you feel like they should have it just because they don't have that much of relevant experiences?
So I really feel like, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I feel like the professional summary is for somebody that has a level of experience in the workforce. So if you have somebody that has, management experience and whatnot, I think that's an important part to put. I think somebody right out of college, I just don't think that that's needed. I feel like really focus on below it the skill set. So if you're going to use extra space on your resume, that would be where I would do it. But this format is probably the format that I love the most because it's clean, it's straightforward, it's easy for me to kind of go through and process. And even the bottom part, and I know we'll discuss further, but the volunteer and knowing what people do outside of work really is important to me as an employer because it gives me an idea of the person as a whole, what they're doing. I know equally it's important for students to go to a company that has a good culture, and that descriptive is many different areas. Equally for us, it's an important test to have somebody that's going to be a good match for our culture. And that area does give us some indication of it.
Love it. Yes, 100%. And I mean, as we all know nowadays, I mean, the job market, it's already, I feel like it's a little bit more difficult to kind of go out and get relevant experience outside, internships, all that stuff. I've been through that. I mean, I'm a senior now and I suffered a lot of times and it's okay. But that during that time, you guys should join, organizations, associations. Those are real work. It counts as relevant experiences. And as Laura mentioned, she wants to see things that you're doing outside of work. It really shows your personality, your time management skills, because I mean, you're doing school, plus you're still going out and finding, doing organizations, really helping your community, all that great stuff. And what about the relevant coursework section? I know when I first didn't have a lot of experiences, I actually added in there and I had put some of my marketing projects and my management information systems project in there. Do you think those are relevant to kind of add on to your resume?
I do, especially if you don't have a ton of experience. I think it's good. Again, personally, I like seeing the professional experience above the relevant coursework, but I do think it's important too. And especially if you don't have a ton of work experience on it, it's good to have that on there.
Love it. Okay, we have a question in the chat. How are you gauging culture fit from a resume?
That's a good question. So, if we have somebody that is very involved in the community and very involved with maybe collaborating on volunteer projects, we're a very collaborative environment. And so that would be one indication. It's not the sole indication. If somebody doesn't have, volunteer experience on the resume, it's not like we're not going to consider them. it just also gives us an insight into that person too. We are an organization that does a lot with the community. So, to know that we have people that are applying for jobs that are also very involved in the community. Our clients are a community, right? So that's just another area that we look into.
Exactly. Love that. So contact information, definitely should be your name should be the biggest thing on your resume. I mean, if it's not, well, how would they know who you are? It cannot be the same size as the rest of your information. It really has to pop out. And your address. This is important to know that you don't put your entire home address into there. You only need the city and the state. If you are looking outside the local area, you can leave it off, but just make sure to just kind of keep it. So I'm from Fairfax, Virginia. That's all I'm gonna put. Fairfax, comma, Virginia. That's it. You don't need your entire where you live. It's just not, I mean. And then phone number, include your area code. Yes, they would like to know what area you are in based off of the job that you are applying to. Email, make it professional. The email part, what I did when I first started applying for jobs was that I created an entire separate email. That email is the only one that I use for professional, applications, professional reaching out, networking, connecting. That is simply for that. My other email, I'm subscribing to Netflix, I'm getting subscriptions, all that stuff. I don't it just shouldn't be mixed in there, just make it very, very professional. And I've seen a lot of people use school emails, and I like to ask Laura about this because what I've heard from kind of different people is that, oh, great, we have a question about can we use our Mason email address? So I've heard a lot from different people is like, it looks more professional when you're in school that you're attached to your school, you're attached to your organization. But what I think is I just use my professional email just in case, after I graduate and I don't have access to my school email anymore, they can't reach out to me. So what do you think about that?
I really like your suggestion on just creating your own professional email and have it as a separate email box. I think that's really smart because you don't get the clutter of other things on it. Does it detour us to have somebody that has a Mason or school address? Absolutely not. I've never really thought about it one way or the other, but the idea that you had, Lynn, I think it's fantastic.
Definitely. As somebody that just has so much like spam and junk just because I just simply don't want to delete them because I'm lazy on that part, I just need a whole different separate thing or else I'll probably go crazy. And like my school email also has tons of stuff about just like marketing for organizations. It's just so much better that something's just nice and
Smart
clean.
thing to do, for sure. Now, I see Frank had put on here, can they use their Mason email address?
As Laura said, you can. It doesn't defer them from any way not to hire you because of course it literally is just an email, but it's simply just for your sake. It's just if you are graduating and you know you're graduating soon and you don't have access to your Mason email anymore, I would suggest you make a new one and make a professional one. You only need your first last name and then a number behind it, just probably because, there's same names too much. But that's what I would advise because I know GMU, our school, we don't get to keep our emails for that long after we graduate. So if they want to reach back to you because you're a better fit for the position and they want to they want to interview you, you just kind of lost your chance. So just for your own sake of mind. And then we have another question. What about a resume for a work gap? What should someone who took several years off from work to raise their children put on their resume? What's the best resume you've seen that explains this?
So Tanisa, that is a really good question. I think the best way to explain that, I've seen it a couple different ways. I think the best way to explain it is in the cover letter. The other thing I've seen too is people just put like, the dates and then they put just a brief line like, family, building a family, or we've had others that people have been out for a period of time because they were caring for an elderly family member. So you can put, probably word it better than I'm wording it now, but you can put that as far as the dates in there. So, when they're looking at your resume and they see gaps there, you have something on there, and then you can actually explain it a little bit further in the cover letter.
Love it. See, and which is why cover letters are so important, even though they are listed as optional. You should always write one. LinkedIn. Personally, for me, and we've been taught this throughout our entire college experience, is to have a LinkedIn. Again, your resume is a one pager. It should never if you're writing a different resume, like other resumes that doesn't include one page, your LinkedIn is sort of your online resume. You can list a lot more experiences and it shows, more timelines. You can share pictures on there. And it's just also it's just a good website for you to connect. So if you don't have your LinkedIn today, make sure you create one and customize your link on there. If you don't know how to do this, we can help you all like anytime you need, just come into our office and we can help you with that. But LinkedIn is super important. So when you see resumes and you see somebody that has a LinkedIn, URL on there, do you get like, is it like a good thing? What do you think? Is it like important?
So we actually do primarily a lot of our recruiting through LinkedIn. So I think being able to have a good profile on there with a good URL. I would say I don't really study the URL. I just study to make sure that somebody has a good profile on there, but having a professional picture, you go into LinkedIn and you just see all sorts of weird things sometimes, as far as pictures.
Yeah.
Having a good professional picture and a profile is golden.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy selfies on there and I'm just like, wow, you just have your friend take your picture for you. If you don't have something like, like a HD 4K quality, at least you look nice in a suit? So, yes, LinkedIn is extremely important, especially for somebody looking at your LinkedIn profile and they don't really know who you are yet just because of your resume. It's just a paper. So, definitely have that. We have another question. Do you recommend working only during the summer rather than during the actual school semesters? I feel like my education will be affected if I begin working during the semester.
I think you have to do whatever is the most important. You're doing a big investment in your education by going to school. So if it's something where you can't balance the actual working and going to school too, because school is a full-time plus job, it's absolutely fine to just have the summers and but make sure that it's meaningful too. If you have the opportunity to do an internship in the area that you want to do, absolutely go for it, because it really builds on it. And so as an employer hiring somebody right out of school, if they have relevant experience already in working in the industry or that profession, it's great. So I don't know whether I answered your question, but hopefully I did.
I mean, for me, as of currently, I always advise my friends to do summer internships, especially what you just said. They could get offered right out of school, from that internship, or if they see relevant experiences, of course, I mean, it's just really hires up your chances of getting hired. But hey, I am a senior and school is so like hectic and crazy for me right now. And, for me to just really just do this as well, it's just my personal preference. It really just depends on you, but also just suggest joining, all like organizations. They don't take up as much time as you want to do a part-time or an internship just to, meet people, have fun, make your college experience a good one. Make it memorable, you shouldn't really see other people doing internships during the school year and think that you have to, which is what I thought. But no, everybody is on their own path. You should be able to determine that on your own, and you are on the right one. And just don't like think twice about that. It's all about you. Don't look at other people. Just keep going forward.
And I like Megan's suggestion here too on doing,
Mm-hmm.
the micro internships and externships. It's kind of like dipping your toe in the water. So it's just time wise, it's a lot more doable. So great suggestion.
Exactly. And also, I mean, if you have a really, really good option to, do an internship, just negotiate. I mean, just be like, hey, I'm a full-time student. I'd still love to do this, but can we negotiate a little bit less time? I can do it, but let's really think about the fact that I'm still in school. So, example. All right, so this is just an example of the header for your resume. So of course their name is the biggest, it's bolded, and then right underneath they have their city and state, their phone number, their email, just make sure it's a very professional email, and then their LinkedIn.
Can I make a suggestion on that one too?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of resumes where there's like no city, state. And sometimes you can tell from the phone number, sometimes you can't. It's really helpful as an employer to have your city, state there too, because as somebody that is hiring for an anchor position or in-office position or even a hybrid position, it gives us an idea whether this is doable commute wise or not, or if they're in another state, it prevents us from going through that process of reaching out to candidates that this might not be helpful for. So from the employer standpoint, that's very helpful.
Exactly. It just makes your job a whole lot more easier with the rest of the resume. And the professional summary. So Laura did mention, I mean, you should, out of college, as a recent grad, maybe you shouldn't have a professional summary. But if you do decide to, what does a professional summary do? So it summarizes your qualifications for the position you're using. So like keywords from the job announcement. A lot of, I mean, now every single company is going to use ATS, which is applicant tracking system. And if they see keywords that matches the job description, you're highly just going to get your resume reviewed. So that's why it's so important to read over the job description and making sure that you are formatted to almost match it. Include both hard and soft skills, optional skills in the bullet points underneath. So I write my professional summary in my LinkedIn. I have pretty much, it's like a big paragraph of sort of what my skills are, who I am as a person, what am I studying. So Laura, would you rather that instead? I mean, of course, I feel like LinkedIn you should have that just so, the employees can see where you are, what your skills are. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. I think the skill set here, and I'm seeing a lot in the professional summary that should be, in my opinion, just bulleted for skills. But in LinkedIn, you know what, I think building that solid profile is important, and the skills, to your point, is a big part too, because when employers use LinkedIn Recruiter, we can put in their key areas or skills that we want to look for. So as an example, with this one, maybe we want to focus on somebody that has Salesforce experience. You know, that's a client management tool that's pretty prominent in any organization that has a Salesforce. So that's kind of the rationale behind it.
Exactly. And it's very important to just update your LinkedIn all the time. If your path change, updates it so everybody can see what you're up to. Education. So this, again, very important. Do not put this at the end. Put it right underneath your skills. So this should include your degree, concentration, and any minor, then your school name, your graduation date. So this should be only anticipated. I don't think Laura wants to know a lot about when you started or what you did during that time. Just, May 26th if you're graduating May 2026. Optional GPA. Laura, would you like to see GPA at all if it depends on, the position you're hiring right now, either for like marketing, project management, or finance? Does it really depend on what kind of jobs you apply for?
I would say yes and yes. So do I like to see it? If you got a good GPA, you've worked hard for it, put it on there. And it tells us too. It's almost like it tells us a lot about the person that has worked hard to achieve it. Likewise, if you don't have it on there, it's not going to prevent you from getting the position. But, if you have a GPA that is 3.55 or 4, that's pretty phenomenal. So, you definitely want to have it on there. And putting the anticipated date of graduation or your graduation date on there is good too.
Exactly. And I've seen also a lot of resumes that have their middle school and high school in there.
No.
You think it should only be for university, right?
If your education isn't beyond high school, then you could put your high school on there, like middle school and elementary school. That's something that I will just a hard pass on the resume.
For sure. And guys, you just lose so much space. Again, you only have a page, so use that space very, very carefully. And it's just like, I mean, again, they don't really want to see what you did in high school, so it's more important what you show while you're in college. Experience. Remember, experience can be anything. We mentioned this before. Organizations, clubs, campus work, those are experiences and it shows who you really are as a person. Paid part-time, full-time positions, but again, experience can be anything, but it is what you apply to what you put in when you apply to a job. Don't put everything and anything in there because you think that more experience can get you the job. That's not really how it works. It works more if the employer sees that these are relevant skills, these are relevant projects that can be applied to when you are doing this job. So again, make a huge draft resume and then just take it from there. Internships, volunteer work, club campus involvement, significant course projects, and job simulation via Forge. So significant course projects, I mentioned this before. We've all done marketing, we've all done finance, we've all done MIS, those 303 classes. Or, if you're applying, if you're an MIS major, use your cloud system classes. Those all have projects. Put it in there if you don't have a lot of experiences, because you did the work. You went onto AWS and you figured out an entire system yourself. You should be proud of that. So put that in if you don't have as much experience. Required information, job title, name of the employer or organization, location, again, only city of state. Don't need to list everything about the employer's house or wherever they stay, just the location of the office, city of state. Dates, the dates that you work from, duties, responsibilities, and accomplishments. So for this part specifically, Laura, during experience part, you like to see data, right? You like to see numbers. What's a good sentence, when mentioning your relevant experiences? Do you want to just list it out or?
I think doing bullet points like it has here is good. Numbers are good if they're impactful. If they're not impactful or not relevant, just don't include them. If you're in sales, you had an impact on so many sales or an increase or, impact on ROI, that type of thing would be important to have. Numbers as far as managing staff, oversight on that is all important. You may or may not have this coming out of college. I would anticipate that you probably don't, the average college student probably doesn't have that level on here. So don't worry about it. It's just really bullet point the relevant responsibilities that you had in that job.
For sure, 100%. And experience tips, 3 to 5 bullets per experience. So you don't want to list on and on and on because again, you need more space for other experiences. Just put, your most impactful ones. Again, like Laura said, if you did sales or if you did something data and you really changed your entire system, it's very important to notice. Bullets are not complete sentences. Use strong action verbs to start your bullets. Provide evidence and skills. So this only matters if you actually, like made a huge impact on it. If you're in customer service and you feel like those are great skills, put that in there to the relevant section. Job duty versus accomplishment. Here is a good example and a bad example. So your job duty when you were a waitress was you waited on tables and served food. Okay, what does that tell Laura? I mean, how does that benefit that company when they want to, hire you? It really doesn't say anything. But your accomplishment is that you utilize strong communication skills. So you went and you said hi, you served, and people had a great time because you offer them a different menu, you offer them options for different food, excellent order recall, multitasking while serving 300 plus people a day and achieving 99% guest satisfaction score. These are impacts that they made and they just put it in there. So Laura, do you think this is a good example of what you'd like to see?
Yeah, it's really, if I see somebody that is a waiter or waitress, all of those points are relevant. It really shows to me as an employer that somebody has good customer service, is able to deal with multiple people, good communication skills. So all of that is good.
Exactly. It really shows that they are a people person and they can work in a team. If you are not making this impact, I feel like you're not really somebody that I want to work with because, you can't really be a teams person. All right, so let's practice. Take a few minutes to modify these job duty bullets into accomplishment statements. So you guys can pick one out of these 3, make something up, just make a big accomplishment like the example we gave earlier. I'll give you guys a couple minutes for this. You can pick any of these 3. Okay, so manage cash and point of sale transactions efficiently in a fast-paced environment, averaging $3,000 per day. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It shows you can manage money, manage cash transactions, and maintain financial record. So this is really, really nice. Laura, would you like to add anything to this one? Do you want to see numbers in there or, if they didn't really impact a lot of numbers or anything, if this is good?
I think that's solid. I think that's good.
That's awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, skills section. So again, put this at the top, make sure it's relevant to the job description. We mentioned this multiple times about that as well. Top or bottom, but again, prefer it at the top just because it really, shows how you can apply those skills to your new position. Putting it all together, there's no perfect resume. Do not use template. Usually those templates have colors in them, and it just doesn't look professional. It has huge space gaps. I've used those templates before on Google Docs. It doesn't look good at all. Come to our office and we'll give you just a full rundown of, how it should look, all that good stuff. Update your resume every semester. If you have more work experience, you want to make sure that you're updating it, making sure that, you have new information on there. Provide concrete evidence. Again, numbers, percentages, all that stuff. When in doubt, ask, is this relevant? So how does this help any employer if they were to hire you? If you are applying for a computer science position, but you put in there something completely not relevant to the job, for example, just some weird project or whatever, it's just gonna, make the employer seem like, again, you don't really care as much when you're applying to this job. Using AI. So the biggest red flag for managers when they're looking for a job is an AI generated resume. I mean, everybody use AI, and if you keep using AI, especially, the same system as everybody else, Chat, GPT, or Gemini, it's gonna give you the same response as it did to everyone else. We talked about this in cover letters before. It's just not an ideal look for a recruiter. So Laura, have you seen just straight up AI resumes?
I have, the language and formatting and everything, and it's nice, right? It's professional. Um, but to your point, if you're going to use it and then go through and customize some of it, because what it eliminates is your voice.
Hmm.
So as an employer, I don't necessarily want to hire a computer. I want to hire somebody that is passionate about something, or, especially in the cover letter. I've hired people not be necessarily because of a strong resume. I mean, I've hired some because of a strong resume, but if they have a really strong cover letter that, I can tell their personality, and after, interviewing them, it's definitely got them in the door,
Hmm.
to talk about the opportunity more.
All right. And again, not very nice. It's not good if you use AI on your cover letter as well, because again, it shows your personality, make it your story. And we always tell people, your cover letter should be something that has a hook and, making sure that it just benefits your resume even more, not just to tell everything again. So ATS, I did mention this once. Every employer company uses ATS. I mean, it's just a system where they're looking for specific information that is relevant to that job. Again, if that system sees that, you have nothing, absolutely nothing that is relevant, it's just you're just not gonna get looked at. So very important to again read it again over and over again. And because sometimes if you're looking at something for too long, it just looks all mushed up. So have a friend read it, have your parents read it, have us read it, just another set of eyes. So using AI responsibly, definitely I'm gonna skip past this because I think we should definitely all know AI is amazing. I use it for everything, but it's not as effective if you're just copy and pasting, It's really just doesn't tell, especially with your resume, it doesn't really show your personality. Just and plus, don't put your contact information in there or your name because they're gonna use you as like a template. They're gonna have your information, and we don't want that. We don't, it's just not ideal for anybody to have AI have their information. So if you put your resume in there and have it map you out a cover letter, just do your experience part or just do your skills part. You don't have to input everything. Laura, what's your take on people using AI responsibly to help with their resume?
I think it's important for all of us. AI is here. So we're all going to be using it in some capacity. We certainly use it in our company. We've used it in a variety of ways, but doing presentations or reconfiguring presentations so they look better and that type of stuff. But, as an employer, we're hiring you. Again, using it as leverage to whether it's formatting or whether it, you need help on wording on something, but be sure to personalize it so we do know that it's you.
Exactly. They don't want to hire a computer. They want to hire you. If they want to hire a computer, they would have, already done it. So, moreover of these are just sample ones. You can also find it on our Canvas page. I'm just going to skip through this so we have time for some questions at the end. Will your resume pass an ATS? AI tools can compare your resumes to job description. I already mentioned this. AI tool you can use. These are job scans, job analytics, resume worded. So it's just different systems that you can use to just check it one more time. Final details, critique, read it over and over again, have us read it, have anybody read it, just so, it's perfected before you submit it anywhere. Make sure there's no grammatical error repetitively. That's just straight in the trash. You think it's not a big deal, but it really is. It kind of just shows that you have no attention to detail. No employer wants to hire somebody that is not going to do quality check before they submit their work to a client. It just shows kind of, your work culture. It tells people everything. A resume does not help you get a job, but can help you get an interview. Exactly. Just submitting a resume now it just isn't everything. You should go network, you should go connect. Networking is super, super important. So again, it's really a lot of people say that, you can teach the skill. I mean, you can teach the work, but you can't teach behavior, you can teach personality. So you really want to go out there and connect with people. Laura, what do you think about that?
No, I think networking is great. It's face-to-face networking is, irreplaceable. And those are the opportunities that you get to really know people. But also through like LinkedIn, you can really leverage it too in getting to know people. So, let's say you really want a job at General Dynamics and large government contractor, you really want to work there, you've always dreamed of it. And you know what? Go into LinkedIn and figure out who the recruiters are for General Dynamics and just connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
So those are different kind of tips and tricks that you can do too, but networking and building your network is important.
Exactly. I mean, after I apply for a company that I really, really want, I just go straight to LinkedIn and I start messaging because, again, the worst they can do is they don't respond and then you move on, And it's like, guys, if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, which I don't, it's 200 characters and that's it. You say hi, you introduce yourself, start a convo. I mean, people love, to share their experiences and really help you and talk about their company culture. Who wouldn't want to, right? You should be proud of the place that you're working on, but yeah, that's that. A great resume can open doors, but a poor one can close them. Again, AI, repetitive mistakes, grammar, everything. So just make sure read it over and over again. So our walk-in hours, we are Monday, Tuesday, 2 to 4, Thursdays, Fridays, 10 to 12. We do not have walk-ins on Wednesdays. Those are specifically if you want to make an appointment, you can do it that day or any other day. So you can schedule a 30-minute appointment through Patriot Connect or call, and then we can schedule it for you or email us, and we can help you with anything career-wise. Just come in for cover letters, resumes, network, all that good stuff. We have a quick question. I hate using AI, but when one uses AI to help and assist with writing a resume, is that entirely ideal? I'm assuming kind of, but what do you think?
I think it's up to you, right? It's a tool. So it's a tool that you can use. There are also other tools that you can use. You can go to the career services people and work with them closely and getting feedback on it too. If you're a strong writer, if that feels more comfortable to you, then do it. AI is nice, but it's really dependent on the person that uses it. If you're comfortable with it, if you want to use it, it also is dependent on input and output. So it's really what you put into it is going to be what you end up getting out of it. So if you're vague on it, you're going to get something that's very generic out of it too. I have to tell you, I've used the career services when I graduated from Mason. I doubt that the same people are there, but it's just a great area. I mean, I would go down there and have people look at my resume. I would use it for leverage on internships. I would use it for leverage on introductions to different companies. There's a whole alumni network of Mason too. So Dante, I think it just really is dependent on what you feel comfortable with and what you want to do.
Exactly. Laura, we do have just a little bit of time left. Do you want to just go over quick for the students in here, equitable advisors and everything, and then we'll wait for some questions while you speak on that.
Sure. So Equitable Advisors is a financial planning, financial services firm. We are based out of New York City and actually Charlotte, North Carolina. We have offices throughout the United States. We're a US-based company. We are a Fortune, I think, 300 company, and we've been around for over 165 years. So we've been around for a long time. We manufacture products to include annuities and life insurance, but we also assist families, individuals, businesses on a variety of financial services and financial strategies. So we have advisors. I work in the Mid-Atlantic complex, which is a fancy description for division or region. We have just a little over 700 advisors, and that's covering from Philadelphia down to Virginia. So that's it in a nutshell. Great organization. I've been with them not quite as long as 165 years, but I've been with them for a long time and have really enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, if you guys are definitely interested in, financial advising and just all of what Laura said, I can tell you now that this is a great, great company and great, great culture to work for. I've specifically, I'm not in finance, but I just love, going out and connecting and networking. I've went to their office, I've met a lot of their advisors, a lot of their, people, and I can tell you it's a great, great company to get to know, even if, you just want to get to know people. So just make sure you reach out, connect, LinkedIn, all that stuff. They're there, during career fairs, and they host some, I know they have some workshops with FPA, the Financial Planning Association. It's just a very great, great company to get to know.
Thank you, Lynn. And anyone that's on here, feel free to connect to me on LinkedIn. Be happy to answer any questions. One thing that wasn't covered, and I think it wasn't covered because it probably isn't so common, is using pictures on your resume.
Yes.
Never a good thing. So regardless of how great the picture is, a lot of employers, if they look at the resume and it has a picture on it, it really opens them up to some uncomfortable conversations. So maybe all of a sudden somebody comes and says, look, you're not hiring me because I'm a woman. Or so a lot of times if you have your picture on a resume, we're just like, uh-oh, we don't even want to deal with this, right?
Hmm.
Perfect for your LinkedIn, perfect for other social media, probably
Hmm.
not great for your resume.
Exactly. And it just looks very unprofessional in some ways. You should just kind of stick it to the normal format and customize your LinkedIn to however you'd like it. But and just make sure the picture is professional. We don't want you, sitting on the beach, sipping whatever, and that's your profile picture. So, yeah. So and we have 3 minutes left. So if anybody has any other questions, feel free to just put it in the chat or let us know, unmute your mic. Or, of course, as Laura said, reach out to her on LinkedIn as well and connect with her if you have any questions. But we can just wait a little bit for questions to come in if they do.
It looks like you have some people that have dropped off too. So I
All
really
right.
appreciate you, Lynn, and everybody, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. You've got a great resource with Lynn and the team at the Career Services. Please take advantage of it.
Well, thank you so, so much, Laura. This was extremely insightful I feel like for the students, but also myself. So I've definitely learned a lot more things from you. So thank you so much for coming today.
Absolutely. You have a good day, okay?
You as
Thanks,
well.
everyone.